Okay, so thanks to Excel, you are here.
We have yet to find a hot shower.
How big are those grizzly bears? I envy you. I was preparing myself for 6 years.
I would say just do it.
Hola, chicos. We are here with Amy today. So nice to meet you,
Nice
Amy.
to meet you.
At the beginning, I will ask you to maybe introduce yourself. Who are you traveling with? And what is your professional background? What brings you here?
My name's Amy, and I'm traveling with my husband John and our dog Shadow. We're from Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. We retired about almost 2 years ago now. It will be 2 years ago this Christmas that we retired.
Okay, so you decided to full-time travel. You quit your job or you are retired?
We retired fully. We just wanted to have a simpler life, not work full-time. And we always said if it wasn't working for us, we're still young enough, we can go back to work if ever we decide to. But 2 years in and there's no desire to go back to work. We're really loving this lifestyle.
That's a very nice thought, guys. So you decided it. It was very difficult for you, but you have no complaints about this decision so far.
No complaints at all. Every now and again, I really did love my job, so I do miss. I was an early childhood educator, and I miss the interactions with families and young children that I used to have. But I find that on the road as I interact with families and people all over the world.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll move to the question number 1. I'm always like to ask travelers because there are different backgrounds. And there was a point in your life that you both decided to have a full-time traveling. Maybe you were dreaming about it for a long time and there was a moment you decided, or maybe you were inspired by someone. So I'd like to ask you, where was the time that you finally took the decision, okay, we go for it, we prepare it, and how was the process?
Good question. I think we'd been talking about it for quite a long time. And it was one summer where John ended up having to work a lot over the summer, and we did not get to do any camping, any RVing. We did not get sort of the summer that we had wanted to have. And sort of from there, we started looking at our finances, and it just hit us one day where John ran the numbers on a spreadsheet, and we just realized that we can do this now. We don't have to wait 5 years. We don't have to wait 10 years. We don't have to build up more and more pension and money. Like if we simplify our life, we can make this happen now. So I think it was only a month or 2 later that we put in notice for work. And 6 months later, we were retired.
Okay, so thanks to Excel, you are here.
Yes, exactly. John loves spreadsheeting, and he is our numbers budget guy. And we realized that it's possible a lot sooner than we had thought, and probably what most people think.
This is a very nice thought. I haven't known about that. So you took the decision so quickly. I envy you. I was preparing myself for 6 years, so I really envy those guys that they managed to just took the decision and hit the road within 2 months. So everyone can do that, I think.
Yes, yeah. I think it took us 6 months from that decision. Then it was a matter of downsizing the house, selling off. We ended up selling off all of our furniture and most of our possessions so that we could rent out our house.
You rented out your house?
We do rent out our house as additional income to be able to finance our travels. Yes.
This is a good idea, to rent your own possession, so it will finally finance your trip.
Yes, exactly. So a combination of that and savings and pension and that sort of thing, between all those types of income, we can make full-time travel happen for us.
Thank you for that, Amy. We will move to the question number 2. What is your traveling plan and where have you been so far? I mentioned that you've been to East Asia, but please evaluate it a little bit and your yearly routine, if we can say about anything of that. And what do you do now and where are you heading to?
Okay. As I said, we've done this about 2 years, so we're constantly changing and evolving how we travel and what we do in our travels. But our idea has always been to spend 6 months in Canada using our rig, RV, and living out of that, and then spending 6 months abroad in a warmer climate somewhere. So our first 2 winters, we've flown abroad and backpacked. Our first winter we spent all over Southeast Asia. Our second winter we spent in a combination of Thailand, Italy, and Morocco. And then this winter, because we were coming somewhere close to Canada, we were able to bring our rig with us, and we're spending 6 months in the Baja.
Okay, so in East Asia and Europe, you were traveling with your rig or with the backpack?
Just a backpack. So
Just a backpack.
we fly over, we just take a piece of carry-on luggage, a very small 30-liter backpack each, and that's all we take with us when when we fly overseas.
Simple life. 30 little backpack is not much.
Simple life. And it's very nice because we tend to park our rig at my parents' house, which is close to both of our families. So 2 times a year we are able to go home, visit with family, see all of our loved ones before we set out on the next trip.
This is very nice. You know, I had also this similar opinion of what you are becoming after you are on the way. So you are downsizing your life. You packed yourself in just 2 30-liter backpacks. And if it's for me, for example, after we launch on the trip, I know exactly how many things I have.
Yes.
I know where they are. And if I put somewhere I don't know, I will quickly find it because I know it must be somewhere. In my previous life, when we were having a regular job, we were having too much stuff. I was occupied with all those unnecessary stuff, but on the way you are minimized and you know exactly how many things you have.
Yes, correct. And we noticed that when we were downsizing, just like how many things it was so easy to get rid of. Do we like these things? Do we care about these things? Do we need them? It was just so easy to get rid of almost everything that we owned.
On a daily basis, we sometimes think this is so important for us, this and that, but at the end, when you are emptying your house, you will quickly realize what was really important.
Yeah, and now we really choose to spend our money on experiences versus buying things.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You said something already about your rig. We know you have a trailer. I admire your truck already. But can you tell something about your setup, what you are traveling with?
Yes, so we have our Toyota Tacoma. It's an off-road version, so it does do 4x4, so we can do a lot of off-roading without our rig attached. We also have a 20-foot travel trailer equipped with solar panels, so we don't rely on needing electrical hookups at any campground. It carries enough water that if we conserve, we can go about 2 to 3 weeks without any sort of water fill up. So it sort of has everything we need to be fully self-reliant for a number of weeks without any support.
Okay.
We also travel with paddle boards on top of our truck.
So this is your luxury on
that
your
is our
trip.
luxury item. It's a sport that we absolutely love and can do almost everywhere we go. So ocean paddling, river paddling, lake, we try to get out on almost every body of water that we see.
Can you tell us, how does your daily routine look like? What do you do on a daily basis? Because it must look so much different to what you've been doing in Canada when you were working.
It does, obviously, different from our working routine. We have found that we still like to maintain some sort of semblance of routine to our day. Typically we get up, John, my husband, makes the coffee and gets us started in the morning, gets the dog out for a walk. But we try to normally do a bigger activity first thing in the morning. We're not big breakfast eaters, so we usually get up and go for a longer walk or a hike or kind of get a big activity done in the morning when we have lots of energy. We tend to spend our afternoons usually hanging around our campground, or if we're backpacking, a hotel or wherever we are, just reading, watching videos sometimes. And then in the evening, kind of go out again for another walk or dinner or whatever it is we choose to do in the evenings.
How often do you move from one place to another?
That's changed over our travels. When we first started, we were very keen and very eager, and we moved every few days, and we got very tired that when this is a lifetime of travel, it is too tiring to move every few days. So we're really adopting the slow travel approach, where we spend, with this rig, we're trying to spend about a week in every place. Sometimes when we travel overseas and backpack, we'll make sure we spend a month somewhere in our trip just to stop moving, have a home, and feel more like, just a home base.
Okay, this is a nice thought, guys, that despite being on a way, at the end, every one of us needs some daily routine, what you are trying to do.
Yes, I think it helps to ground us, to have something that we know is going to happen daily. Yeah, it just makes us feel more relaxed and calm when there's a bit of certainty in your day. Because so much of travel, as you know, is uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen every day.
And I would like to ask you, what do you like most about full-time traveling? So to inspire all those dreaming about the travel?
I think I like the daily learning, that every day you are in a new space. You're learning about a new people, a new culture. You're learning about a new environment. We try to read books that go along with where we are. So just the learning and the knowledge and the mental stimulation is really wonderful. And also just the encounters with people. I think humanity is so friendly and warm and welcoming, and you just realize everywhere you go, people have so much heart and so much compassion and caring for one another, that it's very nice to see that. Sometimes when we're at home, we just start to complain about the things that we see in our own homes and our own life, and we don't see the beauty of life. So when you travel, I think you appreciate that a little bit more.
If anyone is fear of traveling, this is a natural thing. But at the end, 90% of people in every country are good ones.
Yes.
Those 10%, there are crazy stories, there are sad stories, there are dangerous stories, and those people are creating an image of this country. But on the way, everyone is willing to help you. And like you said, you are learning every time with new people meeting. So this is something you cannot buy if you have a regular life.
Yeah.
What do you found most difficult about your traveling? There is for sure something you miss, for example, what you get rid of when you start traveling.
I think for me, I miss most is my family and friends, and just that connection to home, and sometimes to people who speak your language that you can communicate with on a deeper level beyond like, what is your name and where do you come from, but to have like a deeper conversation. And a hot shower occasionally. As we found so far in the Baja, we have yet to find a hot shower. So it's very nice to go home and just run the water for as long as you want.
But you are making a hybrid traveling, half a year traveling, half a year close to your family, don't you?
Yeah, and a lot of times my family and one of our friends have joined us on a few of our trips. So that's always nice that my family's flown out twice to visit us on vacations. John's family has flown out to Italy to visit us there. And a good friend of ours has flown out twice on different trips. So we do manage to bring our family and friends to us, which is always very special and very wonderful.
By the way, what would you change if you plan your trip one more time?
For this trip, we might change our rig actually for this trip. But I think if you're going to do the Baja or places that the roads are a little narrower, they're harder to navigate, that having a van would have been a better choice for this trip. But you work with what you have, and this rig works for other trips that we've done better than a van would. So we take what we have.
Would you think it is costly for full-time traveling? So would you give any advice for the guys who would like to know, is it costly, or how to minimize costs over the time to be able to travel for as long as they want to?
I don't find it expensive, and this is something I always speak with my friends and family about who would like to do it but think that they cannot afford it. And in order to minimize costs, we do our own cooking. We try to stay in free or cheap campgrounds. We use the iOverlander app, which does sort of tell you about a lot of free campsites. You have to eat whether you're at home or on the road. And oftentimes buying food in another place is cheaper than certainly buying food in Canada. So we find all of our costs are much less than they would be if we were trying to live in Canada in a house and doing what we normally would be doing if we were working.
As you are renting your own apartment, so it gives you some income
Exactly.
as well. What is your best experience so far? I always say, over the traveling, there are some things you cannot buy. Some attractions you can buy because they are available for the travels, but there are things you cannot buy over the time. Do you have in mind anything like that?
Yes, so I always think of the generosity of people as you travel and just the kindness and the openness to just welcome you into homes. I find people have a lot of pride in where they live and the food that they make, and are just so open and welcoming. So one time in Indonesia when I was traveling many years ago with a couple of friends, we were on motorbikes and in Sumatra, Indonesia, and just this lovely family, we started talking to them. They were curious about us and where we were from, and they invited us to stay in their home for the night. And made us dinner, made us breakfast, and were just so welcoming and letting us in. And that was just pure kindness and generosity on their part. In India, for example, people have invited me into their little mud hut just for a bit of curry or a meal. And it's just that warmth and sharing, that generous spirit.
You jumped a little bit to my next question.
Okay.
So maybe I will ask you about a specific thing that happens over your travel. I know you've met some wild animals once over your trip. Can you share with us this amazing thing that happens to you out of nowhere?
Yes, so we love animals, and a couple of examples. In northern Canada, we were traveling one day in our rig, and within our one day driving, 6 hours, we came across about 10 bears, several grizzly bears, mostly black bears.
Oh, really?
Just on one stretch of highway. Like every few kilometers, it seemed like there was another bear.
How big are those grizzly bears?
Oh, they're, very large.
Did you grab your bear spray then?
Thankfully, we were in the truck at the time, so we did not need the bear spray, but we do always travel it with it when we're in northern Canada, and when we hike, we have it. But then one other example, we were traveling in Thailand, our first trip of our retired life, and we were staying in Khao Sok National Park, which is a beautiful place, very few people go. And we did a boat trip they have little floating hotels all over the island, and we did a boat trip from our floating hotel. And all of a sudden there were a herd of 10 elephants, Asian elephants, just naturally grazing and playing in the mud by the side of the lake. And that was something unexpected. There are not many elephants in that park at all. And it was just pure luck that they happened to be there when we were going by, and just so magical to watch. It was just pure chance and just very lucky that we happened to come across them.
I'm happy for your luck.
It was wonderful.
I'll jump to the final last questions. What would you advise to all the guys that are dreaming about the ultimate journey? So what would you recommend them if they are dreaming about this kind of trip?
I would say just do it. It is more possible than you think. Take some time, downsize your life, and it's possible. You can do it.
Okay, you can have a hybrid version of traveling. You can be full-time. You can invite your family or friends.
Absolutely.
You can come for sometimes back. This is not forbidden to come back while you are on the travel. So thank you for that, Amy. Can we find you somewhere on the social media? Are you having some Instagram or Facebook?
No, I am not a social media person. We have just decided to not do any extra work while we were away. We don't do any social media. We do Facebook, but only for family and friends. So if you want to reach out to us, you can do so through Alex.
Okay, so if anyone would like to reach Amy and John and the Shadow, just contact me via email address. Thank you, Amy, for that. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, you as well.
It was a pleasure to interview you and
Shadow
have a
too.
safe trip over your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.